So, welcome back. Not to a battle replay though, this time it's just a channel update, but one that is quite necessary I feel considering the recent milestone that I hit, and that was of course 2,000 subscribers. It came upon me a little bit faster than I was expecting. In the next battle replay I upload you may notice me towards the end talking about the fact that it is upcoming and maybe going into a little bit of detail about what I want to do regarding it. But obviously that's a little bit redundant now because I'm going to be talking about it here. So there are a few other things that we'll be going through as well, like what I want to be doing with the channel moving forward, because my way of doing things is a little bit sporadic, and of course the fact that I've hit another milestone at this time of year is a little bit awkward because university tends to kick into high gear in the spring. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, but again we'll go through that later on in the video and what I intend to do moving forwards. But first of all, let me thank you for 2,000 subscribers. It is really quite flattering that so many people think that I'm worth their free time during the day, because there's only so much of it, and it makes it all worthwhile because there is quite a lot of time that goes into making the videos. I mean, it's usually, the videos are on average about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, and there's probably about 3 times as much time of the watch time that goes into actually making the video. Maybe a little bit more depending on what sort of battle it is. Obviously scenarios can take a little bit longer than that because of the lag and because of the amount of unit models on the field. It can be quite a long process, but obviously playing the game is not really work as such, and I do enjoy making them, and it really does make them all worthwhile. So let me thank you, because the vast majority of people are very complimentary about what I do, and I get frankly a lot more views than I thought I would get. And also, if I can help sort of spread the word about this mod to other people, then that really helps, because I do believe that in terms of Medieval 2 mechanics, this is possibly one of the best experiences with Total War that I've had. You know, a lot of the Medieval 2 mods in particular tend to be quite unbalanced for the kind of play that I like, because I am primarily a multiplayer Total War player. It is sort of where I find the most fun in the game, because the campaigns are all well and good, but they do tend to, after the early game, get a little bit predictable. You can often snowball over your enemies a little bit, and this is honestly one of the best multiplayer experiences I've had. So if I can help in my own small way bring more people and more exposure to the mod, then I'm very, very happy about that indeed. As for what I intend to do with regards to a special video for 2,000 subscribers, I think I will be doing a large-scale battle again, like I did with 1,000, which was the Nerniath Aeonic Dyad. It's one of those long names, but again, the Battle of Unnumbered Tiers was the one that I showed for my 1,000 subscriber video, which honestly wasn't that long ago. It doesn't feel like, anyway. It was probably just under 5 months, maybe just over 5 months, that sort of time period. So the 1,000 to 2,000 mark has definitely come and gone faster than the first 1,000, and certainly I think I owe that more to the fact that the mod has offered a lot more content for people that's a little bit more suited to YouTube, rather than in the early days when I was really just lining units up on the grassy plain and talking about them. You know, now I try to put in a little bit more effort with regards to what I do, and the faction overviews as well. I'm trying to be a little bit more informative and a little bit more structured to how I do things, because you know, I am guilty of being a little bit sort of sporadic, as I've said. It does help to have a little bit of structure in place. But I think with regards to the 2,000 subscriber sort of special video, it will be on one of either 2 maps, and that will be WK's masterpieces, Dol Amroth or the Grey Havens, one of the 2. Because much to my shame, I haven't actually managed to show them as of yet. Every time that I tried to do the Dol Amroth map in the 0.91 mechanics, I was part of a game that crashed, which was unfortunate. And the same with the Grey Havens. Shortly before release of 0.95, we played a map on the Grey Havens and someone crashed in that as well. But I do want to do one of those 2 maps because they really, really deserve to be shown more, because he put in a lot of work with them and they look fantastic. And despite the fact that they crashed, I can say that they play fantastic as well, because we may not have made it all the way through, but you do get the feel for the map in the first half, or the first 3 quarters as it may be, before the heartbreak of a crash settles upon you. Something else as well is that I know people have asked for a face reveal, and as disappointed as I'm sure people will be, I will do that at some point, but the problem is more the hardware than the willingness, because I don't have a camera to hand that will do that, and as a student in the UK I'm practically destitute, so running out and buying one is not really a wise use of my funds. But I will look at maybe borrowing one to just do that for the single video, because of course a face cam will not become a regular occurrence in the videos, because with regards to Reforged, it isn't really a a natural fit. I mean, just having a face in the corner of the screen doesn't really add much of anything to the game. But if people do want a face reveal, then I will do it, but it won't be immediate, because obviously I will need to procure one somehow without having to pay for it, so I will need to borrow one from some source, and I don't know how much time that will take. But I will do so, so for those of you who will ask for that, don't worry, I will do it. And as I was saying previously, in the immediate future, I hope that the timing issues won't have too much of an effect on the schedule. But that does bring us on to what I want to do with the channel sort of moving forwards, and that's interesting because I've never really thought of myself as a YouTuber as such, because to me that implies that I do it professionally, when I certainly don't. I make videos sort of on the fly more than anything else, and if I can, you know, I'm basically sort of a very limited sort of free advertisement platform essentially for Third Age Reforged as it stands. And being a Reforged channel is fun, especially at the moment, because things are moving forward, the mod is developing, there's more content being brought out, and with the 0.95 patch obviously it's very comprehensive. But if I'm going to sort of treat this as a channel, then I think I do need to kind of branch out a little bit with regards to things, and that mainly comes from the fact that Third Age Reforged content takes quite a lot of time to produce each video. Like as I was saying earlier on in the video, a 1 hour video can take 3 hours to make, sometimes upwards of 4 hours, depending on how much time it takes to process and upload, and depending on how cooperative everything wants to be, essentially. It's a pretty decent chunk of time. Obviously, for people who do it professionally, it's not an issue, but for people like myself and some of the other Reforged content creators, who I'm sure are in a similar boat, because especially obviously J Monster and Gondorian Smith lately have been the other two to be sort of pumping out content at a fair rate of knots, like myself. And I'm sure that J Monster especially, simply because he has sort of been branching out of late and adding more videos to his channel which are not Third Age Reforged, that he's probably in a similar boat to myself. I don't want to put words in his mouth, of course, but it's probably something similar, and it is something which I might try and do as well, simply because if I'm going to move towards the holy grail, as it were, of bringing a video out every day, which would probably be the best way to do things, and I would be interested to see how well I could cope with making a conveyor belt of content, which is something I would probably work towards doing in the summer more so than now, because obviously, you know, I wouldn't be able to do it with university. But when university is over and until the autumn, I should be able to do that, but not if it's only Third Age content, I don't think, because it is obviously quite a lot of time to sink into each individual video. So I think I would trial maybe branching out into a few other things, whether that be other Total War games. I have tried doing Warhammer 2 in the past, but I think based on the audience that I have acquired, as it were, by doing Third Age Reforged, Warhammer 2 isn't really their cup of tea, which is unfortunate, because I do think Warhammer 2 is very fun, and it definitely has a place and in the Total War community. But if people don't want to see it, then it's not worth my time obviously making it, because I'd be much better served by just playing it in my own time and not putting in the extra time to make something that nobody really wants to see. The other thing maybe would be Medieval 1212, which would probably be the most likely candidate with regards to another Total War game, at least until Three Kingdoms comes out. I do want to do some things with Three Kingdoms when that releases later in the year. But Medieval 1212 is always an option. Ancient Empires as well for Attila is another option. Total War Arena I'm a little bit suspect on, simply because I don't really want to have to put in the time to grind up to make my content informative, because if I lose being informative about Total War, I kind of lose my own, like, the only real feather in my cap, because I'm not exactly the most charismatic or confident person in the world, so it's definitely not for my personality, I think, that people have stuck around. It is instead the fact that I like to be a little bit more detailed with regards to the stuff that I make. Or maybe something that isn't Total War related at all. I've noticed, you know, J Monster is probably the closest analogous to this again, because he's done some things that aren't Total War lately, in the shape of Hollow Knight and Ori and the Blind Forest. I don't think I would go for something like that, but I think I would maybe... I've always been a big Dark Souls fan, and I've played through all 3 of those games plus the DLC, so I'm obviously going to be playing Remastered when it comes out. And honestly, when it comes to just recording something that I'd be playing anyway and talking while I do it, it wouldn't honestly be that much effort to do Dark Souls, and so I might try that out when it comes out. That's May the 9th, I think. So it'd be interesting to see how people react to that. It probably wouldn't be anywhere near as popular as Third Age Reforged, of course, but it would be an excuse for me to try doing a video every day. So, I don't know. I mean, my plans for the future of the channel have always been rather nebulous because I don't really know where it's going or how good things can get. I mean, I'm very happy with the rate that I've been moving along with now, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't make a ton of money off doing this, of course. I think, you know, in terms of it's buttons, really. I mean, I may have turned advertisements on, but it's barely worth giving people the inconvenience of having to skip the ads, to be honest. But every little helps when you're a student in the UK, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, once again, thank you very much for the 2,000 subscribers. It really does. It's a real confidence booster. It's a real shot in the arm, and I hope that you will continue to watch what I make, and I hope you will continue to enjoy it. Third Age Reforged is continuing to move along, and of course I will continue to cover it along the way, along the bumpy road to 1.0, I'm sure, where many more overpowered units will be added. I've seen Crimson Bahelite's Balrog model. Can't wait to see when that crashes the game. But yes, thank you very much for the 2,000 subscribers. I intend to do a large battle to commemorate the milestone, probably on Dol Amroth, but if people want the Grey Havens, I'd be more than willing to do that as well. And yeah, I mean, a face reveal will come, but that's more of a nebulous time period that I'll be doing that in, because, you know, gaining access to a webcam with my very limited money is unlikely for the near future, but if I can borrow one, then who knows. But yes, thank you very much, and I hope you will join me for whatever is next, which will, after this one, it will probably just be a standard battle replay, actually, because it's one that I've already got recorded, but after that, hopefully, at the nearest possible opportunity, I will be doing the big 2K siege. Thank you very much.